What's going on, my people? This is Stephen Williams. They call me the Good Bishop, and ain't nobody good like our God. Welcome to Behind the Veil. This is going to be a good one tonight. Y'all pop on in. Do me a favor and share and like. We have our first, in 2026, our first guest. I feel like I'm talking behind, but I feel like I'm on that karate movie. And you know how you're talking and then your lips be moving and then the words come out. We talking mental health, and I might need some pills when this is over. But y'all come in. This stuff is coming off of my new EP. Oh, you're my strength. Can y'all hear that? When I get weak, you're my sight. When I can't see, you are everything that I need. Oh, everything that I need. Oh, everything that I need. Oh, you're my right. Whenever I am wrong, you're my peace. When I'm in a storm, everything that I need, everything that I need, everything that I need. Ooh, when I can't move, you're the one carrying me. When I'm in doubt, you help me to be everything that I need. Oh, everything that I need and more. Everything that I need. Everything I need and more. Listen, you have all power in your hand. You have it in your hand. Reason I can stand. You're the reason that I stand. My word will be your plan. My word is in your plan. My heart is ever yours. And with you, I know I can. There's no power in your hand. You have the power. Reason I can stand. You're the reason that I stand. And my heart is ever yours. And with you, I know I can. Oh, Lord have mercy, you're everything that I need. And oh, you're my joy whenever I'm in pain. You are the sunshine when life brings me rain. Everything that I need and more. Everything that I need. Everything that I need and more. Oh, you're my love, my guide so I can see. You are my heartbeat and you're everything in me. You got the power. You're the reason I stand. Everything about me is a part of your plan. My heart is ever yours, and with you, I know. Yeah. You are my heartbeat, the one I adore. I adore. You are my everything, everything, my evermore. You are the love that this whole life is for. You are my everything, everything, my everything. That is coming up off of my new EP. That's called Everything That I Need and More. I hope y'all, whenever it comes out, I sure hope y'all buy it. In Jesus' name. I'm excited tonight. Hello, my friend Marcella. What's going on? OG Bobby is in the house. Pastor Albert is hanging out with us. A few of the other saints. My sister is in here. I just got on the phone with my sister, and I told her we was going to make sure we get her some medicine. And tonight, we're going to get her some. Jesus is her doctor. He write out all of her prescriptions. You need to bring her all the medicine in her room. Stephen Lewis is on here. He needs some meds too. So it's a whole lot of people. Y'all, we are discussing mental health tonight. Why am I lagging behind? I feel like my video is not catching up with my audio. I am excited. Good evening. Javon McCrae Brown is in the house. Did you say good morning, Christy? Christy, where are you? This is nighttime. I'm excited. I'm excited tonight to have really my a friend of mine, a fellow laborer, and a person who I actually talk to whenever I get crazy. And she has she's one of the persons who kind of help navigate. We kind of talk through stuff when it's tough. And even for me, but it's going to be on tonight. I need you to tell all your friends. I need you to share this on your page. We didn't do a formal bio. She has her credentials. She'll talk about it. She's out of Greensboro, North Carolina, and she's earned the right to talk to us about this tonight. Mona, really? Really? We do not talk daily. I don't need therapy every day. Y'all, get on my nerves. They probably think I need to talk to them. And so she is credentialed. She's a pastor. She does ministry work. Good evening to all of you. And we're going to get into it. I want you to get your questions ready. We're going to be a little bit more serious tonight. We're not talking about stuff, but I want you to receive to our platform, Pastor Brianna Headen, my good friend. You got to.
Hello.
Hey there. How you doing?
I'm good.
I hope everybody can hear. Make her all big. Make us both big. Yeah, there we go. There she is. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I hope you are, and everyone that is joining us.
Yeah. So when I called her, she immediately and readily, this is her area of expertise, one of them, and so I wanted to make sure that we got. Oh, she looks smart. She just put on her glasses today. That's all. But we are here to talk on a serious note, and it is a part of her passion. Now, one of the things that is really good about what she does is she understands our church world as well as the counseling world and the psychological place, which is one of the reasons why I wanted. Hey, Crystal from Erie, Pennsylvania, how you doing? Is that our friend Crystal? Hey, Crystal, how you doing? I'm glad you can hang out with us tonight. But yeah, and so she is all that stuff. And so we're gonna get her credentials and all that good stuff. Well, we'll get her information so that you'll be able to contact her. And we just had somebody. She is my go-to person when anybody needs any kind of help. I talk to her. She helps me navigate if it's something that we can do, who I need to point what person to, um, just a whole lot of gamut. And so I want you to get your questions ready tonight, and I'll talk less because I want her to talk more in this particular segment. Because as much as I like to run my mouth, I know the scriptures, and I have an opinion about mental health,
Yes.
but I am not, boys and girls, I am not an expert. My expertise on mental health is, you know, eat you a good burger, sit down, watch you a good show, and think about it, and maybe go shopping. But that is not adequate. Or what I do is just go to church and shout. I shout. I dance mine out. So y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all ain't got the Holy Ghost. So we are starting, and then you all who may know, Camille may pop in and host it as well, depending on what the questions are. And so we are going to have us a good time tonight. All right. Tell me, how are you? How's your day? And let's start this puppy off.
I'm doing well. My day is going good. I had a very short day today, thank the Lord. But I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. Ready to dive into the topic because, of course, like you said, I love to talk about mental health, and especially within the church realm, because we don't like to talk about it.
Oh Lord, here we go. So what we did was we just have a couple of starter questions, and then I want you all to feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we're gonna start off. Come on, let's start off with a hard one. Let me see if I can trick you out. Let's see if we can trick you out real good.
Don't
Uh,
make
uh,
it too hard.
well, let's start off with this whole thing. Um, about this whole notion of uh, can I believe, should I be, the balance between trusting God and seeking professional help? Like, why is the church, and this is two questions, like, why is the church really opposed to mental health, and how important is it that we get mental health?
Um, I believe that the church a lot of times is opposed to it. There's, for one, a power dynamic, right? um, the pastor, and if we talk about within the black church, the pastor oftentimes wants to want to be the be all, the one that can help and save everyone, right? And then everything is, you need to pray it away. Well, you can't pray chemical imbalances away. You can't. Um, and so the balance, if I'm answering your question correctly, the balance between the two is that you have to understand that a chemical imbalance is something that you need to seek a pill for, and you need to get therapy. And the faith comes in believing that through therapy and the pill, the medicine, God will heal or God will balance you out. You There's no way that someone, I remember when I was in my undergrad, one of the discussions that we had was that you go to church and they send you to the altar and they want you to pray, but I'm like, but if your mind is off balance, how can you pray? How can you focus? How can you stay in a place where you are sincerely seeking God? You can't, because your mind is not, you just can't. It's off kilter. It's almost like being on a scale and it's unbalanced. So you have to get that scale balanced, and you have to believe that God will balance it out using oftentimes medicine.
Now you know me. I'm always asking questions because you always create questions. Because you said it's off balance. Now, is there a difference in something that's not off balance and you're just overthinking, or is it a chemical?
Mhm.
Is it a chemical thing, or is it that you're just doing too much in your own head?
Sometimes it can be where you're just doing too much. Sometimes it can be when, and we're talking about the church setting, right? Sometimes it could just be where you're going, 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 and you're not resting. Everybody needs to rest, right? And so sometimes religion can create an off can create something going on within yourself, and sometimes people they
Let's
don't.
talk about it. Go deep on that. Let's talk, because this is a platform where we have to discuss it.
Mhm.
Um, what do you mean by that? The religion can cause what?
Religion can cause mental illness. Too much of it. Too much. You're reading and you're when you talk about overthinking. Have you seen people who they can read Mary had a little lamb and they get revelation from that? It's not always revelation. Some things is just simple. But because sometimes church culture teaches us that we have to be in the spotlight, we have to know, or we have to have a fresh word, or we have to always um, be just something. It just gets you in a confused place. If my pastor tells me that I got up there and I preached today, but I didn't preach good enough, and I know I studied, and then I go up there again and they tell me again, you're not going deep. I need you to keep reading. You're not reading enough. You're not studying enough. You're not praying enough. Who am I trying to please? My pastor, or am I trying to please God?
Hmm. I understand that.
Is that making sense? And so what I have seen is a lot of times is that people just start getting confused and they start talking babble. And it's like, so then you get the situational things, situational depression. So when we talk about is everything chemical? No, some things, like you said, it's just overthinking. Some things is you're not just being who you are. You're trying to conform to be something that you're not. That's a
Okay.
war. That's a war all by itself. You're warring against yourself for who you really are.
Is that because people do not know themselves or do not reveal themselves? And Angela, I'll come back. Hey, Angela Wilson, I'll come back to your statement because I want to make sure. I know that churches can break you, but in the right place, it can make you. So I don't want to. I don't
It
want to
can
lose.
make you.
Yeah,
It can make you.
but
But
you
at
got to
the
be connected to the right person.
you have to be connected to the right person. So I can use myself for an example when we talk about this, right? So I'm not if you were to come and hear me preach, I'm not going to preach like Bishop. We don't preach the same. We don't talk the same. We don't think the same, right? Um, but if I'm trying to be just like you, that creates a conflict within.
Right.
So we're just using those for an example, right?
Yeah.
When people come into the church, um, and they begin to advance in ministry. And another thing is, we have got to get to a place where we stop allowing people to use us or pimp us out for our gifts, and we know that we're struggling on the inside. If I come in and I am a victim of, um, let's say something simple, I'm going through a divorce and I really need to deal with these issues, or I'm a single parent and I got some issues that I really need to deal with, but because I can pray and my leader sees this in me and they never deal with the human side or the humanity in me, and they just deal with my gift, I'm still broken. I'm only operating as half a person. And so mentally that begins to wear down on you, and that's where people begin to break. But now I'm in the spotlight. How can I deal with my mental when everybody's looking up to me because all they see is my gift?
I tell mine go sit down. Set them down. No, and this is my theory about that. If you're really going through, then uh, you need time. You need time to think about it. And I've been one on both sides where I've worked through
Hmm.
major disappointments in life, but I had to when I went home. Um, I had to contend with that, and that wasn't a spirit. I didn't make it spiritual. It was, a Stephen, you did not, like, you failed at this. you got this right, but hey, dude, you didn't do that right.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to own up to this part. Um, how much of it, in all honesty, how much of it is, and when I say how much of it is the breaking down of your mental health, you not telling yourself the truth or trying to live a lie. Because I think, now this is my diagnosis, and I told you earlier I'm not. So we have the professor here. I think people are in a state because they do not either know themselves or they do not want to tell the truth about themselves. And so trying to live that other life causes them to almost look schizophrenic. And we need to talk about that
Mm-hmm.
because I think the church is a breeding ground for schizophrenia because
Mm-hmm.
you get to switch in and out of spirits, and
Yeah,
maybe you need some medicine. Don't know.
yeah, and sometimes it's not even that. It's the acceptance piece, right? The church a lot of times do not accept people for who they are, who they truly are. They don't. If you look at the commentary that is behind, we can use Jamal Bryan and his wife.
Okay.
Um, this lady's just being who she is. She's not at church. She's at an event. But the church came for her harder than the world came for her, right?
Hmm.
So somebody that's not strong, mentally strong, they're going to hide that part of them because the church isn't accepting of who they are. Not saying it's right or not saying it's wrong. And so if I got to hide who I am in order to be able to perform or to be liked by you, then what else is there for me to do? I must not. A lot of times people get to a place where they don't like themselves because the church is telling them that who they are is not acceptable. Does that
Yeah,
make
but is that does that create the conflict of um sanctification, ownership of if you're preaching one thing but you are not this other thing? Does that create a sense of hypocrisy? Um,
sense?
because it's tough to, and this is why I tell people, tell your truth and be your truth. We try at GBC not to maintain, we try to maintain a no judgment zone, right? We try to let you be what you're going to be and work through that till you can get there. But um, I agree with you. I mean, the church came for her, right? And
Mhm,
if that's who she is, and if she's not strong, she won't ever wear nothing like that ever again, right? And then suppress herself,
mhm,
if you will. And
mhm,
that's that conflict of what we would consider quote unquote Bible and
mhm,
sanctification and da 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 da.
mhm.
And I agree with you to, that people struggle with that.
Yeah, and one of the things that people have to get to a place of learning, especially when you want to talk about protecting your mental health and being in the church, is you got to get to a place of understanding who God is to you. God is not, God doesn't reveal himself to everybody the same way. He just doesn't. So, how God reveals himself to me is not how he reveals himself to you. And so, I have to remain true to how God talks to me, how he deals with me, and how he chooses to use me. Every part of me doesn't need to change because that's how God created me. So I don't have to change my dialect. I don't have to change my jargon. I don't have to necessarily change the way I dress if it's not provocative. Of course, we know about things like that. But just because you have a problem and you're projecting your stuff onto me doesn't mean I have to wear it. And a lot of times people deal with mental illnesses in the church or mental health issues because they wear the projections of the people within the building. Does that make sense?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you have um, pastors who feel like they can't show any part of their weaknesses because if they do, well, who was going to listen to me? Who wants to follow me if I'm going through a divorce or if I fail at life, because at times we all are gonna fail, whatever it may be. Oh yeah, we know that you don't. Y'all. Y'all. Yeah, we still we still praying for the bishop. But it makes it easier for a congregation to see the human side of their pastor, because
Yeah.
then it makes it easier for then us to live the scripture, to be able to go to the elders, or to be able to go and confess our faults one to another. If
Yeah.
my pastor is human, if my pastor can fall and can be open. I'm not saying fall and hide, because that's really where you begin to war and get into conflict with yourself, because then you become a big hypocrite. You have to have somebody within your space that you can have safe, you can feel safe with, and have those real conversations with, right? But oftentimes we don't. We just hide. Pastors hide, and it makes the congregation hide. The congregation can only be as good as the pastor.
Mm.
When the Bible says the oil flows from the what? Beard. And if it's flowing, what oil is flowing? And so when you see these pastors wanting to go off, when I see it, and you get these clips and things, and pastors going off on the congregation, I'm like, well, let's go behind, or let's open your closet door and see why your congregation is acting like this, because they are following you.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point. Let me ask a question. How does prayer, and we'll get to some other things, but how does prayer and therapy? Well, let's back up.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the church afraid of therapy?
Because a lot of times the church doesn't want to deal with the real issues, right? We are good at covering up things. It's easier for me to suppress things than it is for me to really be delivered.
But
Deliverance
why?
comes from confession, and that means,
Right.
again, if you are afraid to confess what you're going through. I remember, I like to use myself as an example so people can understand that these things are like real, so people can open up their mouths and begin to confess themselves. So I remember when I was going through a split up, and I was in a church, and it took me a long time to get over the split, right? And I remember my pastor telling me, you should be over this by now, but how can I be over it if I never get a chance to process what I went through? And I can't process it within this church. And you're telling me therapy is not good for me. Who God is good. We can pray to God, and God wants us to talk to him. But God created us to be relational. Why did he create us to be relational if I can't talk to my brother or my sister about what I'm going through? Does that make sense? Why can't I go and talk to a trained professional about what I'm going through and what it's doing to me, or what I'm feeling like on the inside? Because when you hold on to things like that, that doesn't do anything but create more chaos within your mind. Now you're walking around with triggers, and you want everybody else around you to change, but it's you are the problem.
Yeah. Michelle says something that's very interesting. Michelle says something that maybe we need to address. She says, when we say trust God, what does it look like if you really show your weakness?
Mhm.
If you do you look like you are showing any level of weakness? And is that, I don't, yeah, I think people don't want to reflect that. And what we try to do is build a space where you're not judgment. We try not to say, "Oh, you're not strong." You know, you
Mhm.
know, we try not to. But the church universal, it really can come off like that, especially if you are gifted and a leader.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so, how will I know I need therapy? How does one know that they really need therapy and uh, prayer is just not working, or whatever is not working? How would you know? How do you know?
if you find yourself with the same um thought pattern, right? It's been something's been going on and on and on. So say you went through a bitter divorce. Let's use a divorce. You went through a divorce and you have been praying for God to heal your heart, to heal your mind. Or let's say you went someone died. Let's use that. You lost someone, and you're dealing with grief, and you've been praying. It's been a year. And the same thing, you still having the same thoughts. You can't sleep at night. You find yourself not eating. You find yourself being isolated, right? Because it's such a difference in situational depressions and when it's a clinical diagnosis. And sometimes when we go through traumatic things like that, it can become a clinical diagnosis at that point. But when you find yourself can't get over it, I mean, if I've prayed and prayed for 3 years, right? I've been praying for God. I don't want to feel like I'm tired all the time, or I don't want to sit and try to finish my work and I can't because I can't focus. My mind keeps reverting back to the same situation over and over and over and over again. Um, you need some help. You need to go in and talk to someone because prayer is not helping at this point.
Let's go deeper. Can I get that by just talking about it? Do I need to go to therapy, or can I just be honest? Because here is my truth. All right,
Hmm.
my truth is I think people struggle because they're not willing or able
Hmm.
or knowingly
Hmm.
can really tell themselves the truth. And I'm off base. I mean, I may be off base, but I think people begin to snap because number one, maybe you don't want to acknowledge the truth.
Hmm.
Maybe you know the truth, and that's what a good therapist can help you bring out what that is. You help me. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Hmm.
And then maybe you just can't tell yourself the shame of it, of what you did. Like you're not able to articulate that truth outward, and I think that's what causes problems or challenges. But let's talk about that. Let's discuss.
Some things, and I saw Angela put in there about cycles. Some things people find themselves doing something over and over and over again. It's the same. You find yourself with the same man, the same woman. The relationship doesn't work out. You get with somebody else, and it's the same thing over again. So, what truth someone would need to hear in that, or what they need to admit to themselves, is that they need to go back. And this, for me, if you came to me, we're going to go back to your childhood. I want to know how you grew up. I want to know the things that you saw, because a lot of times that is why you are the way you are. Let's talk about it. It's not just you woke up one day and you started choosing the wrong people to be with. You didn't just start choosing to be in bad relationships. Where's this coming from? There's a root to it, right? Um, yeah, I can tell you the surface. The honesty is I am getting in wrong relationships. I have a problem with choosing the wrong people. Okay, that's good. That's surface. But let's get to the root of why you think the way you think. Why do you keep choosing this over and over for yourself? And why do you feel bad about yourself that you keep choosing the wrong person? There's a
Is
root
that
to it.
is that because you don't want to acknowledge, or you just don't know it, and a therapist really try to help you pull
We
that out of you for the sake of choices? I don't
we
know.
do. We try to get you to get to a place of understanding who you are as a person and why you are the way you are, and then healing from that. But you can't hear from something that you don't understand or you can't articulate. I can't heal from cancer if I keep treating it like a cold. Does that make sense?
Understand?
There's a
But
cancer that's going on, and you have to get the proper treatment for it. You have to be able to identify what it is.
Mona said something. He said we need therapists because sometimes it's better to talk to a stranger, right, than
Mhm.
to talk to somebody that you know to be vulnerable with. I
Mhm.
guess there is some level of truth to that.
It is because um a lot of times what people come in with is a simple conversation and helping somebody build up the courage to be able to go have those conversations with people that they need to have them with. So they have to start somewhere. So I think that's very true. And I do think somebody asked this, can everyone use therapy? Yes, they can. Because everything, again, Mona, you're right. Everything can't be said to everybody. Because everybody's not gonna understand it or get it.
I like what Angela says. Angela says therapy only helps if you believe it can help and you're open to the help.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right. All right. Oh Lord, you got me going in cycles. All right,
So
break the
I
cycle.
so I want us to talk about something, if you don't mind. Um,
You are the professor.
one of the questions you had asked, what's one myth in Christian communities that need to be challenged? Was one of the myths. And if you really trust God, you won't be depressed. If
Mm,
you really trust God, you won't be depressed. I
let's
think
talk about that. So
I,
let's put this out there. If you are anointed in the Holy Ghost, believing God, you got faith in Jesus, you speak in other tongues, you dance. You should not feel depressed. And
mhm,
that's what we've been challenged and taught like all of our lives. God can handle it. Give it to him, talk about it. And so she's getting ready to tackle some tough church. And what we're talking about tonight is cultural things. We're challenging ourselves. And y'all know I'm a culturist kind of a preacher, you know. So she challenges me every time I do something. I say something about Jesus and stuff like that. She always got to have an opposite. You know, she always got to come at it another way. I say she got a spirit, but no, that's just her profession. And so let's talk about that. That whole notion.
mhm. Um, you know, so faith doesn't counsel chemistry. It just doesn't. Faith doesn't counsel chemistry. You are who you are. Chemicals become unbalanced due to a number of reasons, right? And just because I believe God doesn't mean it's going to go away. It doesn't.
Wait a
Um,
minute, time out before you go. How do I know I'm unbalanced? You keep making that reference that there could be chemical and unbalance. What is a trigger point that says you you're a little bit off? You know,
um,
how will I know as the person that I'm not balanced? Because it's balanced to me.
mm-hmm,
You know what I'm saying? And not me I mean, I ain't talking about me,
mm-hmm.
but I'm just talking about in general. How will they know?
Sometimes people don't know because that's just the way they're norm. That's their normal. That's their norm. So sometimes people don't know. But if you're a person who something happens and all of a sudden you become chemically unbalanced, you're gonna know because there are gonna be things that you you're happy, you're giddy, and next thing you know, you're down or you're up for days. Um, and you can't figure out, why you're crying. I'm crying, but I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden I'm crying. Um, your relationships with people, they start kind of getting jacked up because of you and perhaps something that's going on within you. You once was the sensible person, but now you're high strung. You're going to be able to tell because it's a difference, and you're not going to want to feel like that. Now, again, sometimes people don't never know. They are so used to functioning like that, especially someone who has bipolar. They go through their manic stages. I was dealing with a couple who husband. Yes, Angela, you feel off. I was dealing with a couple whose husband was in a manic phase. I mean, just spending money, spent about all their savings. And she was thinking that something else was going on. And I'm like, no. And so we started talking. He was isolating himself. He was not talking to her, being very mean. And it was new to her. He didn't think nothing was wrong with him. He kept projecting and saying it was her. Well, if you done spent all the money and that's not normally you, there's something chemically going on with you. Does that
If
make
it's out of if it's out of your norm,
it's
and
out of your
once
norm?
you start going out of your norm,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe
Yeah, you
maybe
feel
you
and
come back.
you can feel it. You can feel off. Have you ever sat down and said, I'm not gonna ask you that question. Let me ask the audience because I already know who I'm talking to. Um, have y'all ever sat down, especially women, have you sat down and just said, something don't feel right within me? I'm irritable, I'm irritated, I'm easily frustrated. When you're off. You may not know what's going on, but yeah, you can feel it. I mean, there was a theologian, Martin Luther. If you read his bio, if you ever read the history of him, he was suffered from clinical depression. He would go and preach and preach and preach, and then he would go into what they had in um, institution and the treatment that they had back then. I'm not going to go into that, but he was clinically depressed, but yet he preached and went home and dealt with depression.
Mm.
A lot of times people think that preaching and praying just is going to be the key, but it's not. You get off that stage and you still have to deal with you on the inside. Nobody has to live with you but you. How many pastors have we seen on the news killing themselves and just gave a good word? Well, that pastor just prayed the heaven down for me. Well, that's how you know prayer is not always the answer. Because if they can pray heaven down for you, why can't they pray heaven down for themselves to get out of that low place?
Hmm. Shawnee says something. She says she feels that sometimes, and so she removes herself from people. So is that the trigger that you potentially maybe need to remove yourself to realign yourself? I don't know.
I think for some people, depending on your personality, depending on the type of people you choose to hang out with, I think social media is a really I think social media creates a lot of mental health issues within people. It creates low self-esteem. It creates identity issues within people. And so removing yourself from social media and depending on the type of people, I had to clean my whole circle because the people I was hanging out with was not good for my mental health. If you hang out with people who never uplift you, um, because we need that in our life, right? We can uplift ourselves, but you should have somebody or some people in your circle that can uplift you too when you're down. The Bible tells us that. So yeah, I think that's absolutely correct, depending on your personality. Um, and then if you are introvert, most definitely you are revived by getting away from people. Um, you are energized when you are alone.
Energize when you are alone. Hmm.
I'm not saying being isolated. I'm saying when you take a break. So for me, I'm around. I really am an introvert at heart, and so when I am out all day long, I save my own mental health by being able to come home. And sometimes I sit in my car and just sit and debrief and breathe and pray or write.
Wow. Now, did you get your question out? Because I know I deterred you.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, we 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 preface this next part of it because both of us are um, pastors to some degree, right? So we're not on here to bash anybody. This is not our intent. Um, but we are dealing with more pastors being bipolar, schizophrenic. Um, is that me? Yeah. Hold on. Let me come off of this. But, I'm creating an echo. What about now? Hold on. All right, what about now? You still there? I'm still creating an echo. Is it a bad echo? Okay. What about now? That's better. I'm trying to hear her as well and make sure I have it in my ear to make sure I have questions as well. Huh? Is it a better echo? Is it off?
I
We
don't
good
hear
now?
you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're good. We're trying to make sure. All right. This is a great question. Can mental health be hereditary?
Yes, it can be. You find it a lot, prone to it. Especially your those you find bipolar, schizophrenia, more of your personalities, the chemical imbalances are a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah, we were getting some feedback, so I'm trying to cut this feedback out, y'all. Just give me a second, because this is good stuff, and I want to be able to make sure that we are getting it. Um, is it better now? A little bit. We'll have to take a little bit. I've turned everything off that I can think of over on my end, and it's got to be on my end because she is just coming through the system. And yeah, so she's coming through the system, and it's not a lot. She's not turned up, and so it only happens when I run my mouth and not her. Maybe maybe my thing got mental health, and it's got a spirit. All right. Um. So we were talking about not bashing pastors. Let's talk about this whole notion of pastors and schizophrenia and the need potentially. How will one know that they need assistance? Because we are being spoken to, quote unquote, by the Spirit. We're hearing the word of God every week. How will we know? If we are off center, and you and I have talked about the narcissistic spirit, because there is a narcissism, but there is also this whole notion of perfection, right? Where we are trying to make sure that we give God our best and we get the best out of people. And sometimes I deal with, and I don't know if I'm better or worse at it because I allow people to work through their imperfections. I don't walk around and just everything has to be, even though I want to correct. I let it play out, and I let people see. But
Yeah, I I think that's the good thing about you is that you let people process through, right? A lot of times they don't get that opportunity. Some leaders don't allow their people to process. Process means it's just like putting your child on a bicycle, teaching them how to ride the bike and then taking the training wheels off. Well, sometimes they might fall. If we use that for an example, sometimes pastors or leaders don't want to see their people fall, and get back up and then get back on. There is a notion that you have to be perfect. You have to be able to get on that bike and ride it because I showed you how to ride it. So there's no need of you falling off. You should not be falling off. And that's just not how it goes. Um, it's not. So hopefully that makes sense.
I got it. Oh, you can't hear me?
We can hear
Well,
you a little bit.
what about now? But I still got a small echo. Everything over here is turned off. Oh, well. Hold on. Let's try it again. If something is giving me feedback. I don't know if that. Maybe I'm just want this. Because this is just coming out of this. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. Here we go. Okay. No? Can y'all hear me now? No. We just took everything off. It's still giving a little echo. Okay. Any other questions? Here's something from uh, our local courts and government agencies. Incarceration is a method of rehabilitation for mental health. It is something that insurance doesn't do. You understand the question?
Our local courts and government agencies as a I can't really speak too much to that because my experience is that the only time the only time that someone with mental illness is incarcerated is after they have committed a serious crime. And hopefully, if they have a good lawyer, they would be put in the proper section of prison where they can deal with that. But a lot of times, I don't think they're even looking at the mental health issue when they do incarcerate those who have mental health, because they are in general population. To my knowledge, I just think that rehabilitation and mental health doesn't really go hand in hand.
Can you get completely healed
Hmm.
from that mental health piece?
I believe you can, depending on what it is that you're what you're dealing with. And that's if the person is willing to do the work. Like me myself, I don't take clients that aren't willing to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work. Just like you have to be willing to put your faith to work, you have to be willing to do the work for your mental.
What does that mean? Put,
Um
put, put in the work. What is putting in the work?
Putting in the work means that you are willing to dive deep into the things that are um, plaguing you. Sometimes people aren't ready to go there. People aren't ready to go to certain places um, that need to be talked about. They're just not ready. And so, because of that, you can only go but so far in your healing journey.
Have you found people you couldn't help?
Hmm.
Is that the reason why they don't want to tell the truth, or
No, I just believe that sometimes people don't want to do what it takes.
is that like you mean believe the truth, reveal the truth?
They don't want to believe the truth. They don't want to actually have to sit in the truth, because sometimes the truth does hurt. The truth hurts that um, you know, you have this diagnosis that hurts sometimes. So if I'm a pastor, and or if I'm just a mother, let's take it out of the church. If I'm a community leader and I get a diagnosis of being clinically depressed, a lot of times people don't want to deal with that. They don't want to believe that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or if
Hmm.
they have something causes a psychosis, um, and they come out of it, they want to believe it was just a one time thing. They want to hide it, bury it instead of dealing with it.
Now I'm getting ready to ask a crazy question. All right. So if they can't tell themselves the truth, are they really connected with Christ and the truth?
No, you can't. You can't be. You can fool yourself to think you are, but you can't. Right? No, there's no way.
So you tell me some of y'all ain't saved. No, I'm just joking.
I think somebody had a question on here earlier. They asked, how does one know they're actually talking to God?
Yeah,
Um,
I saw that earlier. Versus that was Canon. Canon asked that question. You know, how is it that I know I'm talking to God versus myself versus having to contend with and deal with all those other things? And I think that's a fair question. Um, you know, and because again, like I said, the church can be the breeding ground for a whole lot of schizophrenia and a whole lot of imbalance, if you will, because we get to talk to this spirit who we don't see. And I get to hear a word, you know, the Lord told me this and the Lord told me that, and the Lord is speaking to me. And I tell you that, and I only, you know, I say it just as a pastor. If it's not, if it doesn't develop, then shoot, maybe you ain't, maybe you ain't here right.
mhm.
You know, maybe. But how do you? What is your answer to that, or your, you know?
Well,
What
as
is
a
it?
as a first as a pastor, I always tell people you have to get to know who God is. Um, like you have to get to know who He is first to even be able to be sure that you're talking to Him. It's almost like hearing. If I never sit down and talk to, I have a friend, but if I never sit down and talk to them, then I don't know the way that they think. I don't know who they are. How do you know that God is talking to you if you don't know Him? Does that make sense? Like you never read His Word, and I'm not speaking about going to church, just going to church and hearing the pastor, because that's a whole nother thing too. When I hear people say, "Well, my pastor said," and it's like, but are you going home? Are you reading? Are you studying? Are you praying yourself first? God doesn't go against Himself. All right, but um, and He doesn't lead you down roads that are going to harm you. God is not going to tell you, and can I to use a prime example, God is not going to tell you that somebody else's spouse is your spouse. That's you. That's your desire. That's something simple. You know, God isn't
Yeah.
going to go and tell you to get a car, and you are on a $1,200 budget a month, and your rent is 900, and then God didn't tell you to go out there and get that $800 car payment. What? That's not God. Does that make sense? A lot of times when you hear people say God has said something, listen to what they're saying, or for yourself, listen to what you're saying. Did God really say that? Is that going to bring harm to you? How is that going to how is that going to better your life? And sometimes God would tell you to leave things alone, or leave people alone, or stop going places, and then you hear yourself come back and say, "No, that is not God. That's
Yeah.
myself talking to me." No, that was God telling you to get your hands off of the weed, uh, to stop doing those things that are harming you.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's birthed out of desire, and you see what you see, you feel what you feel, and you speak what you speak. Sometimes it's birthed out of desire, and sometimes you think it is. You feel like it's God. Um, I do believe that uh, in certain instances. I was gonna ask you a question. Shoot, doggone it. Um, Oh man, hopefully it'll come back to me. It was in that same vein. How can the church, how do we recognize it
Mm-hmm.
as a church? How can we get people help without being offensive? To say, hey, you might need some help. How do you tell somebody you off? Because that sounds like you can really get cussed out.
What do you mean? Are you saying in the way that they're acting?
No, like we in church and you see people and you say, "Hey, you might need some meds," or you might, because you basically just telling people, "Hey, you, you acting crazy, and you might need to go see a therapist." I mean, how do you say that and not like get cussed out? You ain't gonna call me crazy. I
Mm-hmm.
ain't crazy. I know what I believe. And I know my Redeemer lives, and how do you help them? Because this is a two part question. How can the church be a safe place? But how? I mean, how can I tell you you need to go get some help
Mm-hmm.
without you bringing a gun to the church?
Right. I think churches,
And then I
normally
got to smack.
we we have conferences. We bring in. I've been seeing churches bring in all kinds of different guests. I think the church needs to bring in more professionals first to start making the conversation normal. Making the conversation normal, and it doesn't need to come from the pastor if the pastor's not trained in that area. So bringing in professionals for one, and start to have those conversations, and then at that point, now it's normal when you see someone who you believe may need help. It makes it a little easier to say, do you we might need, can we talk, and saying it in love.
Oh, I got my question. Yes, and I think we should. The morning them say I need some meds. We've been talking about that for years. I've been trying to get some meds on a regular basis, but I won't want nobody give me nothing. Prescribe to me on a regular basis. So I'm gonna get me some. 26 is my year. Get me some meds.
They're already at the pharmacist.
Okay, so listen, listen. So what happens? Because I find as a leader, I find the struggle is people have had a traumatic experience in their past that really carries over to their inability to process
Mm-hmm.
in their present.
Mm-hmm.
And as a leader, it becomes very difficult to hand them something trust that they can do it because it feels like at any moment they will drop what we call a kingdom assignment because of trauma.
Mhm.
Can we talk about trauma? You and I have had this conversation before, right?
Mhm.
About how to handle dealing with something that happened to you traumatically. Um, how do you know you're over it? When do you know you're over it? Or do you ever get over it?
Mhm. Um, some things, well, no, you don't ever, quote unquote, ever get over it, but you learn how to function. You learn how to identify things that trigger you, right? Um, and so you get to a place where you know, hey, this is a trigger for me. You don't have to remove yourself, but you can start talking through it within yourself. This is a trigger for me. This is not that moment. I'm not in that moment. These people are not doing what this person, or this is not that same event. You begin to learn how to live with it, right? So do you ever get over it? I'm not going to say you do, but you learn how to live through that. Um, and what was the other part of your question?
I was just it just becomes difficult as a leader um,
To hand over things like that.
to hand over things because as soon as you have a traumatic situation, it's like we have to pick up the pieces of something that you started, and we have to wait until you get over that traumatic moment. But that creates this start stop in vision, that creates this start stop, and you can't really move on.
Mhm.
Sometimes I feel like Moses with Miriam. I can't move. Nobody can move because Miriam is important to the process, but we can't move because it feels like people have not dealt with whatever trauma is, and and it seems like something just sets them off, and the church becomes the victim. And I don't know why this is that everybody wants to be mad at the church. Um, Everybody wants to quit the church and stop doing the church work. They don't want to stop work. They don't want to stop shopping. They don't want to stop watching Instagram or anything else. What they want to say is, I ain't going to church no more. And I'm like, what is the trauma the church? Did the trauma happen in the church? It 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 it, it baffles me. All
Mhm.
right, it baffles me. But go ahead.
I I think if you have someone that is sitting in leadership, and you and something triggers them to a place where they stop a project or they can't move forward in a project, I think the fear of them leaving the church overtakes the leader versus them sitting back and having a real conversation with this person and saying, you know what, this is what I see. This
Say
is
that
what I
again.
see. This is what I see. If you are in leadership and something begins to trigger whoever you placed to do whatever project, because this is how I'm understanding your question, and they stop it, and you can see that there's something truly wrong with this person.
Right.
Something, um, if you can't have a conversation with this person and say there's something going on with you, and being able to pull them back from this, from whatever it is they might be working on, even if it hinders the project that you are wanting done, is it about the soul of the person, or is it more about the assignment that you want done? I think we have to start putting people first over a project or over something we want done, because whatever's meant to be done, God's going to make sure that it's done. So if this person's there for just so that can happen, so they can get the help, let them get the help. And if God desires to put somebody else there that can finish it off, go ahead and do that. But if it's meant for the project to stop, let it stop. But I think we don't care about the souls of the person more so than we care about our agendas.
Okay. And I'm gonna give you that. I'll give you that, and then I want to throw this at you.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when the person knows they have mental health, but they have the spirit of manipulation and they use like they're like they know I'm gonna be sad. People know I'm sad, and then when I move on and I use somebody else, you know, then you get real happy and you put your hands in, and then when you don't want to when it feels seems like it's not going, you then seemingly back down, and all of a sudden now you're depressed, and now I can't move on, and then I give you some more attention, and then you jump in, you full hands on, and then when I leave, take my hands off, and I know you got it, something triggers you, then you come right back and you take 3 Sundays off because you're sad. I mean, you just go. It feels like It feels like you're manipulating the moment with your mental health. And from my vantage point, we care. We really do care
Mm-hmm.
about the person, but it feels like you are controlling this narrative,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how to masterfully control the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not about you, then all of a sudden you about to die. Which means, and if I care about that person, like you say, we have to stop and we got to make sure are you okay? We have to put all of this energy behind that person, and then they run for a couple of months, and then 2 more months later, it's like they figure, well, nobody's paying me any attention, so let me do it again. And it feels like it feels like you're on a wheel. You're
Mm-hmm.
because if you love people, you're not moving. You try to do your best. Have you experienced that people can manipulate their mental health and trigger us because we're not professionals? Like
Mm-hmm.
if we love you, we're not trying to leave you, but it's like you got us, and you got us in a cycle, and you can mess around and get a whole bunch of people in the same cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
I think a person who does that, I think what they're doing is manipulating your mental health at that point. They're able to control you emotionally, and they know what they're doing. A person who's able to do that, I would have to really look more deeper into it, because it might just be a spirit, and a spirit is controlling you because they know what they're doing. So I want your attention. I want, because this is what I'm hearing. I want your attention. I want you all to myself. I want all eyes on me. And when you go off to go be with somebody else to be a shepherd to them, I'm mad. So I'm gonna be like a child, because that's what children do, right? And so at that point, I just me, even if someone was to come into my office, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna tell you, these are your tools. I think pastors should say this: you need help. And until I see you getting help, you can do it. You can cut up, you can kick, you can scream, you can say you sad all day long. But faith and therapy, when they go together, therapy gives you tools, faith helps you to use those tools.
How do I
You
know it's
know,
not a spirit versus mental health, or are they one and the same?
they can be one and the same, because
Because
you
in,
open
in
yourself
my
up.
church, everything is a spirit. You got a demon. It's a demon on your life. You- right? I mean, wait a minute. That's how we grew up, right? I mean,
Mhm.
before you and I connected, that's when people were off, they got a demon. We
Mhm.
prayed for them. In my former church, one of my former churches, we put people in a circle to get the demon off of them. We prayed the whole thing off of them. I mean, how do we know when it's a spirit
Mhm.
versus when it's actual mental health?
uh when you can't pray it off, one. When you can't pray it off. But sometimes it's
That's good.
really, sometimes it's not mental health. sometimes it's just a person being manipulative. When do you know somebody's just being manipulative?
It's hard to tell. They're
I
getting
think
good.
I think that the example that you gave me is a person that's just plainly just they're just being manipulative. Sometimes people can know that they had one diagnosis in their life and they take that one time being diagnosed and they use it for the rest of their life to be manipulative. They're just manipulative people. They want what they want. That's not a mental health. That's a selfish, spoiled. I'm a excuse me, y'all. I'm gonna leave you off of everything in this church until you get your life together. And if you leave, goodbye.
Yeah.
Because
I,
you can't allow a spoiled apple to spoil the whole bunch. Because that's what's gonna end up happening. Then everybody gonna you're gonna have more people looking like they got mental health issues than you have with.
yeah. Now, and I will preface this to all of the pastors. I will say this, and what I have learned, and I think, Pastor Brianna has helped me understand this. I, I I play a doctor on TV, but I'm not a real one, right? I'm not I can counsel up to a certain degree, and I have recognized, through communicating with her, when because if it's beyond what I know, I then contact her, and it's like, oh no, they are beyond you. You don't. This is beyond you, and it's just like, I'm not your financial person, but I can talk money, but I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not your financial person. And I think every pastor, just because we understand the wholeness of the soul, we need to be able, especially in the Black church, to um, properly send people to the right places. And I think this whole notion of counsel is out of our purview if you're not clinically trained. If you're not trained, please don't, because you have people's life right in your hands. And so Gwen says something, we need to make how can we as a church not make mental health taboo? Um, uh, Mona always says to me, it's amazing to me that people will take that medicine for diabetes, but they won't take it for mental health. What can we as the church do to not make that? Oh, you don't need to go here. I mean, I believe in therapy. I really do. I believe people need to have a therapist, and we support that. But every church does not. And so, how can we? What can we do?
Mm-hmm. Well, for one, I think, and honestly, medicine, you have people who won't take their blood pressure medicine. And the reason they won't take their blood pressure medicine because it makes them feel a certain type of way. Same with mental health medicine. You have got to try it until you get to one that is going to be good for you. A lot of times people don't like to say that this medicine doesn't work. They just automatically stop taking it. Same way they do with blood pressure pills. Um, or what happens is the medicine starts working and they start feeling normal and they stop taking medicine because they feel like they're healed. They don't need it no more, right? Um, and so when it comes down to the church and medicine, um, people don't want to go to church and tell people, yeah, I take this for my depression, or I take this because I've been diagnosed with being schizophrenic. Well, if you hear that, the church immediately, all eyes are on you. They're going to start looking at you funny because it's not something that they're used to. They're not used to seeing someone who has those diagnoses. But it's freer for the person, for the individual to be able to say that and be safe with saying it and feel comfortable with saying it versus hiding it. Did I answer
Okay.
your question?
Yeah, yeah. How can we have good mental health? Let's talk about it, because everybody always talks about bad health. I mean, because when I listen to mental health, I always think about health. And we go to the gym for our physical health. We go to wherever else. What is the thing about good positive? How can I avoid coming sitting on your couch? What can I do?
I think we first have to be honest with learning how to be honest with ourselves. Resting, having clear boundaries. Boundaries is a big issue for people.
Talk about that, please.
Boundaries. Um, so having boundaries doesn't mean that you isolate, you put walls up. Having boundaries means this is what I will not tolerate, right? I won't tolerate someone using me. I won't tolerate someone call, and this is for pastors. I won't tolerate. I have a boundary where unless you are dying, do not call my phone at 9 o'clock at night to tell me that you stomped your toe. Don't call my phone at 9 o'clock at night telling me you broke up with your boyfriend. That can wait. Certain things can wait, right? A lot of times we don't have boundaries, clear boundaries, and we allow people just to run over them. We don't have boundaries with the way that we help people. Some of you are caregivers, some of you are just natural helpers. And anytime somebody calls your phone and asks you to do something, it's always a yes. You don't have a no in you at all. Just because you are capable of doing it doesn't mean you have to do it. It's all right to say no. Learning how to, I was telling someone we have a morning call on my job, and I said, you have got to learn how to, there's an art in being disliked and being all right with being disliked. Everybody's not going to like you, and it's all right. So when you have to tell somebody you can't do it, it's all right if they tell you they don't like you no more. They don't want to talk. It's all right. If you want to have good mental health, stay off of social media. If you're on there scrolling a lot, I'm gonna ask you to reel it back, because that is affecting a lot of society right now. Because you're hearing a bunch of stuff, you're seeing a bunch of stuff. A lot of stuff is not true, and you're just soaking it in. You're soaking it in, and whether you think you are or not, subconsciously that stuff is in you.
I like it. How you feel? You feel good? I think we've accomplished and covered, may not everything, but if you feel like you are a little off, chemically off, and you feel like you're doing something different, it is not it is not taboo. You should find you a therapist if you feel like Gwen says, I feel good. Uh, if you feel, if you feel like you need it, and no matter what ministry you go to, no matter what that is, I think you should pursue it and work on your mental health. Um, Work on that whole piece, and just be truthful. I'm going to give you a moment to just give us, talk to the little girl who's 12, 13, 14, whatever that is, and speak, or that person that's in church, and take a moment and really, you on the floor, and just speak to them about what they can encourage, however you want to do that for mental health, if you can. You good?
Yep. Um, I first want to say this, that I wrote something down. Prayer connects us to God's presence, and it grounds us spiritually. It reminds us of who we are and whose we are. But therapy helps us understand patterns. It heals trauma stored in our body, and it gives language to the pain we can't name. Oftentimes, we can't go to God in prayer and be truthful because we can't articulate the pain that we're feeling. Sometimes we cannot name the thing that is bothering us the most. Sometimes we have been through things that are so shameful or so hurtful that once we are saved, and sometimes some of you are in church and you have been through some shameful or some hurtful things, that you can't even talk about it because you you can't really articulate it. You feel like nobody in there is going to understand. That's where a therapist really does come in, because we are unbiased. We don't we create an atmosphere that is safe for you to be you. You don't have to come in there and wear your saved collar. You get to come into therapy and you get to say whatever it is that you need to say. I always tell the women that I see that you may be a leader in church, but in here, you are whoever you may be at that time. And so you don't have to be or use that jargon. You don't have to come in and say, I'm blessed and I'm highly favored. You get to come in and say, today it sucks. It sucks. I don't want to be here, or this hurts me, or that hurt me. um I don't feel like I can continue on. Or you can even come in and really discuss things that may be bothering you within your home, within your workplace, within your marriage, within your family, or even within the church. Because a lot of times I get people who come in and their issue is religion, or just church culture. There's nothing wrong with the church. I always want to there's nothing wrong with the church, but sometimes there are things wrong with the people, not the church. And so how do I navigate that? Because this reminds me of my family, of where I come from, and it's all right. And so you have to work through those things. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't have to stay in a stuck place. You have the opportunity, and I believe that you're on here today, some of you, because God is telling you that you need to go somewhere and seek help. It doesn't mean you have to sit down from whatever leadership position you may be in, whether it's in church, out of church, on your job, whether you're a mother or a father. Doesn't make you weak. What makes you weak is when you sit there and you never seek the help that you need. That makes one weak, because now you are living a life that's very hypocritical, and you're living a life that is not true to you. There's no more, there's not greater freedom than being able to live authentically as the person that God has created you to be, regardless whether someone agrees with it or not. And so if you are someone who has a history of trauma, whether it has been sexual, whether it has been abusive, those things, if you've never dealt with them, we call those things unresolved. And so you really do need to seek help, because it is showing up somewhere in your relationships. I guarantee it, whether you know you're being triggered or not. There are more people out here who say that they don't like being around people, but it's not everybody, baby. Everybody is not the same way. We have to learn how to get over those things that we don't want to talk about. And that is what I would really leave with you on today.
Would you do me a huge favor and thank God for Pastor Brianna Headen? Hey, let people know how they can reach you. If you want to.
Yeah. I would just tell you, look, you can find me on Facebook and you can inbox me, and I can send you a link. If you want to book an appointment, if you want to get a 15-minute consultation, just inbox me on Facebook. It's just Brianna Headen. My messenger is open to anyone who desires to reach out.
And she deals with anything. I mean, people who are going through death and traumatic things, just simple depression, she helps to realign everybody. And I laugh a lot, but, I have great people around me who help me navigate when things are off. If I'm ever feeling off, I have people around me who help me do that. And so, listen, I will tell you this. She is no nonsense. Sometimes when she's in therapy, I don't think she's saved. I don't think she knows Jesus when she's in therapy, but she really does. She means well, and she wants the best for you, but she don't take no junk. And she's going to help you get realigned, and you're not going to fluff her. And because she's in the church, you ain't going to be able to spiritually
fool her with
Mm-mm.
your hikamashandas and all that good stuff, man. She's been through it all. And so I want you all to make sure, listen, we take care of our bodies. I need you to take care of your mental health. There's a saying that I have, out of all the greatest discoveries in this world, including Christ, the greatest is when you can discover yourself. Because if you don't know you and you're not comfortable with you and you're going to play towards people, you'll never be able to do kingdom business.
That's right.
You'll never be able to do it until you can discover you. So I thank you all so much for joining us behind the veil for our mental health segment. We appreciate you, Pastor. Don't go nowhere. We got to get out of here. I'm Stephen Williams. They call me the bishop. Ain't nobody good like God. I might need some meds. I'm gonna have her give me. I'm gonna have her give it
They're
to me.
waiting on you. They're
I'm gonna
waiting.
have her give it to me in a cup like this right here, so I can just drink it. So I can just drink my meds like that right there. Put it in my coffee. Y'all pray my strength in the Lord. We love you all. Join us next week for another. Oh, wait a minute. I won't be here next week. If the snow gets me, if the snow gets me, I will not. Well, I'll be here next week. But if I can get on that plane on Sunday, which they're telling me I can't get on, then I won't be able to be on next Tuesday. I'll be flying in the air trying to get back here, and so we'll keep it. We'll manage it. If y'all see a whole bunch of snow here, then you'll know I'm home. All right, love you guys, and we'll talk later. Until we meet again, Stephen Williams here. They call me the Good Bishop. Thank you for joining me and Pastor or Brianna Headen behind the veil. Bye for now.
Thank you.